What is going on, guys? It's your boy K-Mac here, and today we'll be going over the 10 hardest Pokemon to find and catch that are not legendaries. So let's jump right into this. Starting out at number 10, we have Porygon. Now, Porygon is a pretty lame Pokemon in my opinion, and there's only one way to get him in the most games, which is gold, silver, red, blue, yellow. It is from the game corner, and you have to buy 9,999 coins from the counter, 50 at a time, and that just takes forever. And you know what, it's not even worth it. It's the worst Pokemon ever. It's just totally useless, and its evolutions aren't very good either, and takes way too much time and way too much bullshit to go through and mash A for 20 fucking years to get this piece of shit Pokemon. Moving on. Number 9 is Chansey. Now, Chansey you can get in the Safari Zone in Kanto. It's really hard to come by, and most of the time the balls you throw at it do miss. You have to bait it or throw a rock at it, and it's got like a 25% catch rate, and it's super hard to come by. The only reason it's not any higher is because you can actually find this Pokemon in Mewtwo's Cave, and it's usually around level 60 or higher. But by the time you get to Mewtwo's Cave, you can actually have a good enough party, enough level to handle it, and have people put it to sleep and things like that. So it's still hard to catch, but that's the only thing keeping it out of the top 5, is it being able to be found outside of the Safari Zone. Moving on. Feebass can only be found on Route 119 in Ruby and Sapphire. It has a 33% catch rate, and the funny thing about this Pokemon is it can only be found in 6 random fishing spots that change throughout the week, throughout the day, throughout the time of day. It can be a big boner to find this Pokemon if you don't get it lucky and get it on the first try, and or you don't not in the right spot in the first try. It can be tedious. It can be a really annoying one to catch, and with the 33% catch rate, it's actually pretty hard to catch. And on top of being hard to come by, it definitely has a solid spot in this top 10. Definitely a top 10 hardest to catch Pokemon of all time. Moving on to number 7. Number 7 is Sycther. Now, Sycther can only be found in the original games in the Kanto Safari Zone, and it is really hard to come by. And on top of being really hard to come by, it is easily scared away. And as you all know, in the Safari Zone, you cannot use your Pokemon to status effect. You only get balls and rocks and bait, and that's it. And it makes for a tough catch on top of being hard to come by. It is one of my all-time favorite Pokemon, but one of my all-time hardest to catch Pokemon also. Very cool, but very hard to come by and spooks easily. Makes us a solid pick at number 7. Moving on to number 6, we have Lavitar. Now, Lavitar only has a 40% catch rate. You can only find Lavitar in the, I'm talking, of course, of its first game it was ever in, which is Gold and Silver. You can find it only at Mount Silver, and it only has a 10% find rate. 10%. That means it's only going to come up less than 11%. It's going to come up 10% of the time, and it's really hard to come by. And I believe it was a nighttime Pokemon too, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong on that, but to couple that with a 40% catch rate, 10% find rate, really tough Pokemon to get. Moving on to number 5, we have Solrock. Now, Solrock can only be found in Ruby and Sapphire on Meteor Falls, and it's only in a certain section of Meteor Falls. It's only in a couple of rooms, and it only has a 40% find or percent catch rate. And I believe you can only find Solrock during the day, because you get the other one, which is like the Luna whatever Pokemon, which is equally hard to catch. So we'll go ahead and say that those two are equally the same on this list. I just didn't include it. But the Lunatar and the Solrock, both equally hard to catch. One's just at night, one's just during the day. Both mega boners to get your hands on, and definitely solid on this list at number 5. Moving on to the next Pokemon at number 4, we have Bagon. Bagon is also found in Ruby and Sapphire, and also only found in Meteor Falls, but you can only find him in one specific hard to get to room, and it's only a 5% chance for him to come up in that room. So you're going to be going through all kinds of just random Pokemon until you get this one. And once you get him, he's only got a 25% catch rate, so he's still hard to get your hands on after you spent 3 hours looking for him. And just a total boner to catch this one. I remember getting this one in my first run through of Ruby and Sapphire. Took me a couple hours, and I was so stoked when I finally finished and got this one. Moving on to number 3 is Relicanth. Relicanth is another hard to get Pokemon in Ruby and Sapphire that you can only get in a certain route I believe it's 220 something, 226 underground or underwater rather with the dive. You can only find him in the patches of grass underwater, and it's actually a super important Pokemon. You have to get him to get to the other Registeel, Ice Pokemon. He's part of the myth or whatever Pokemon thing with that. I don't really recall, but he's very important and he's very hard to come by, and he's only got a 25% catch rate, and super hard, solid spot at number 3. Next up is probably one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, but so fucking annoyingly hard to catch. It's Beldum. Beldum only has a 3% catch rate. That is the same as all legendaries, but it's not a legendary. And super fucking impossible. You can get him on Route 228 in Diamond and Pearl, but only if you're lucky. I'm talking real lucky that he will come up. He's a 5% random chance of coming up on top of a 3% catch rate. That is a total mega boner of a Pokemon to get, but Metagross is worth it, so I say take the time and catch this one. And finally, our number 1 spot on the list is the OG Pokemon Kanghaskhan. Now, the Kanghaskhan is a boner to catch in fucking red, yellow, and blue. You can only catch him in the Kanto Safari Zone. The Safari Balls miss him half the time, and he's only like a 5% chance to come up in only 2 or 3 patches of grass in the Safari Zone, on top of being able to run away, on top of being able to not be able to put him to sleep, and all status effects. Makes this one of the, if not the hardest Pokemon catches of all time, not legendary. And catching a Kanghaskhan is definitely a high five moment with a friend. But that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this list. Make sure to comment which ones you liked, and that's it. Peace out. All right, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys could leave me a like, it'd be very much appreciated and help my channel immensely. And make sure you guys subscribe for all the latest news on PS4 and Xbox 720, along with all gaming things. And that's it, guys. Have a good day. Game the fuck on. Until next time. Peace out.